Hey folks, welcome to the channel. My name's Greg, and I'm really excited to share with you today how I made this duck pastrami and these absolutely delicious duck pastrami sandwiches. But first, I want to tell you how this video came about. When you have a small new YouTube channel, the YouTube algorithm tends to suggest other small new channels. One channel the YouTube algorithm suggested to me is called The Bartender and the Butcher. Hannah is the butcher, and her partner Xavior is the bartender. Xavier has a bunch of videos mixing some tasty looking cocktails and drinks, while Hannah has a bunch of videos showing how you can get great value by breaking down primal cuts into smaller cuts. She also has some videos cooking different meats. Now, amongst my friends, I've been known for a long time as the guy that likes to smoke meats. I'm always bringing smoked meats to special occasions and campouts, and my pastrami is always a crowd pleaser. When I saw Hannah's duck pastrami video, I knew I wanted to try to make that. I reached out to them and suggested doing a collaboration of sorts where we each make a video of each other's recipes. Hannah seemed to think that was a great idea, and so here we are. Hi Hannah, hi Xavier. I love your guys' channel. Keep up the good work. I had a ton of fun making this video. Thanks a bunch for sharing your recipe.
Hey Greg! We're really big fans of your videos.
We've had a ton of fun working with you on this collab, and we hope that your duck pastrami turned out as good as our sausages.
I'll leave a link in my description for the Bartender and the Butcher channel, and I'll also leave a link for Hannah's duck pastrami video. Make sure to go check them out, show them some love, let them know that the Gourmet Woodsman sent you. Now that you got the backstory, let's get on to making this duck pastrami.
I went to 5 different grocery stores, 2 of which were Asian markets, which I thought for sure would have duck breasts. No, I found quite literally every other part of the duck. So I did what I could, and I bought a whole duck.
Like Hannah, I had a tricky time finding duck breasts, but I got his frozen duck. It was a lot less expensive, and I'm gonna get the leg quarters, which I will confit later. Gonna get the breasts, obviously, and I'm gonna get a whole bunch of this fat for rendering down. Hannah used the thighs for her pastrami.
I'll use the breasts and the thighs for this experiment.
But I just want to use the duck breasts. Duck thighs and duck breasts cook quite a bit differently. Duck thighs get a lot of exercise when the duck is walking around. They're considered a slow twitch muscle. Duck breasts are considered a fast twitch muscle. They get their exercise when the duck is flying around, flapping its wings. Those muscles are working fast, but not as hard as they do when the duck's walking. Duck breasts do get more exercise than, say, a chicken or turkey breast, which just kind of hang out there as a lot of breasts will do. But they take well to a different kind of cooking than the duck thighs. Since I think they take well to different types of cooking, I'm just cooking duck breasts for my pastrami. First thing, I like to just exercise my bird a little bit, and this kind of helps loosen up these joints. You can see right there. So that's just going to make it all come apart easier. And I kind of do the same for the wings. See, look at all this extra fat. Impressive. Save that for stock. First, I'm just going to cut down right along this spine and go on either side of it. And then I'm just going to start making cuts right along that carcass. And I'm going to pull down on the breast to just pull it away from that a little bit. And I'm going to come through here and just remove it. And I'll cut off any silver skin, remove this little tender. Probably cook that up now for just a little snack. I'm gonna have a few different piles here. I'm gonna have a pile for breasts, I'm gonna have a couple of legs, and then I'm gonna clean all the meat off the carcass, use that for some, I'm not sure if I'm gonna make a duck sausage or a duck salami, and I'm gonna take all the skin off and render that down for my duck fat for confining the legs. Clean up the ends a little bit, keeping the fat and the meat pieces separate. So here's my breasts. Now I'm just going to come in here, remove these wings first because they're kind of in the way. Now with birds, you really shouldn't have to cut through any bones because you're really getting it at the joints. And a duck is not too much different than a chicken. It's a bird, very similar anatomy. Got legs, thighs, breasts, wings, all the same parts. That's why I like to just kind of wiggle them around, move the legs. You can really find the joint easy. There's my leg and my thigh. We'll cut off a little of this excess fat here just to render it down. For confying. You really have much thicker layer of fat than a chicken does. It's pretty impressive how much more fat it has. I'm gonna put my breasts away, put my legs away, keep cleaning up this skin, bring you right back. So I put the breasts and the legs away. You can see I've trimmed off as much meat as I could from this carcass. And I'll be using this meat for either a sausage, duck sausage, or I have enough I'd like to make a small duck salami. Got a pile of duck fat I will render down. I'm using every part of this bird that I can to make what I think is gonna be some really, really delicious foods. Now that I've got my ducks cut up, the first thing to do to make pastrami is to make a brine. I'm gonna make my own pickling spice for my brine. For my pickling spice, I'm going to add a little bit of black pepper, a little bit of coriander, a couple of pods of allspice. Juniper berries go great with duck, so maybe a couple of juniper berries. Because I'm making a small amount, I'm just going to use a half piece of star anise. Dude, it's not star anise. Okay, star anise. Maybe just a couple cloves and a little piece of cinnamon. Going to take a cold pan. Just dump that in there. Gonna put this over some low heat real quick, just till I just start to smell those. While those start toasting, I'm gonna get a few mustard seeds in here, a few celery seeds, and a few dill seeds. I want roughly a tablespoon of entire mix when this is done. Once I start smelling those first spices, I'm gonna go add these. I'm adding these later because the smaller seeds don't take as long to toast. Okay, I can see the oil's just coming off those juniper berries. I'm just starting to smell this. I'm going to add a half cup of water. Actually, I'm going to add a whole cup of water. Going to turn the heat up. Now I'm going to add a half cup of Morton's kosher salt. The reason I specified Morton's is that this is done by volume, not by weight. And it really takes quite a bit more diamond crystal by volume for the same amount of salt.
Quick tender is like curing salt, but it's not curing salt.
Hannah's recipe uses Morton's Tender Quick, which is salt, sodium nitrate, and sodium nitrite, and sugar, as well as some other unnecessary things. I'm using a half tablespoon of cure number 1. It's mostly salt with a little bit of sodium nitrite. There's no need to use sodium nitrate in this. Sodium nitrate needs to convert to sodium nitrite before it can be bound in the meat. So with this quick of a cure, there's no need to use nitrate. I'm also going to add a 1/4 cup of sugar. I'm just going to stir this till it dissolves. While it's working on that, I'm going to add a couple of bay leaves, small amount of red pepper flakes, and to finish off my pickling spice, just a little bit of thyme. Now I'm just going to wait, keep stirring this until salt and sugar dissolve into the water. I almost forgot to add a couple of garlic cloves. Can't forget the garlic cloves. My salt and sugar is dissolved. I'm going to add a 1.5 cups of ice water and turn off the heat. And once this ice is melted, this brine should be cool enough for my duck breasts. If it's not, I'll wait and make sure it cools down enough. Just don't want it to start cooking the breasts. Hannah used duck breasts and duck thighs. And I get it. She got 1 duck and wanted to make more than just 2 breasts. But I got 2 ducks because duck breasts and duck legs cook differently. I'm going with just the duck breasts for this. Although, they did seem to enjoy the thighs maybe more than the breasts even. Anyway, I'm putting this into a plastic bag, a Ziploc bag. You can see it's fully submerged. And I will just flip this over every day. Make sure that this brine just gets into all of it. 3 days is all these really need. Well, I've just been flipping these over every day. They've actually gone a little more than they needed to. But that's fine because once it's reached an equilibrium where the whole meat is salted all the way through to the inside, it won't really absorb more salt. So what I'm gonna do now, take this over to the sink, gonna rinse these off, soak them in some water. Pastrami rub is black pepper and coriander. When I do a beef pastrami, I usually go heavier on the pepper because I think it goes good with the beef, but Hannah goes 2 parts coriander to 1 part pepper. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give these a real light toast before I grind it up. Once I can just start to smell these a little, putting off a little bit of a aroma, I'm going to start grinding them up here in my mortar and pestle. All right, I have a nice coarse texture going on here. Flip it into this little bowl for later. That's all you really need. Ah, shit. Okay, so I was saying, That's all you really need for pastrami, but I'm gonna add a little bit of some smoked paprika. Not much, I'm not giving you measurements. I'm just going by eye. And just a little bit of some granulated garlic. If you don't have granulated garlic, some garlic powder will be fine. And again, just a little bit. I do want the rub to be mostly coriander and black pepper, but I'm just adding that little extra hint of flavors because it is all about layers of flavor. Now we'll put this on my duck breasts. Just gonna pat my duck breasts dry. Now I'm just gonna put my rub on the breasts. It's okay to pat the rub in, but you don't really rub a rub in. Try to get the sides. Put this on a rack so that air can flow underneath. I'm going to put this in my refrigerator overnight. It's going to dry this off and create a little pellicle, which will help the smoke stick just a little bit better. So I'll catch you all in the morning. These have been hanging in the fridge, not quite 24 hours, but they're definitely dried up a bit. I think the smoke will stick pretty well to that. The smoker's warming up. I am going to stick my probe right into that breast. Go throw that sucker on. Well, I got my charcoal hot. Threw on a little left of the alder log that I had in there last and a piece of apple wood. We'll see how long this can last me here. If you followed my channel, you know that this smoker got knocked over by a bear. And you know I'm still waiting on my other smoker here, but it is getting a lot closer. Got two probes, one going into my duck breast and one just keeping track of the temperature. Well, it cooled down a little bit because my door was open, but had it right up around 2 1/4. That's where I'm trying to keep it. Got a nice clean smoke coming out of there. Hardly see it, it's so clean. There you go, now you can see it. Trying to keep it more like 200 actually, because it's cooking really fast. And I'm only going to 140 with this. I want it to have time to get smoke on it. I can show you what it looks like in there, but if you're looking, you ain't cooking. So it's been an hour and a half at 200 degrees. And he's reached an internal of 141 degrees. So I'm gonna take him out.
Interesting. And this one says the internal temp should be 140. All the internal temperatures have been different.
Some people say to cook duck to 165 degrees, and other people say that if you cook duck breasts to 165 degrees, they'll be tough and overcooked. What's the deal? Duck is a bird. Birds are poultry. The recommended cooking temperature for poultry is 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Isn't duck a red meat like beef or lamb? Isn't it okay to cook it to rare or medium rare like you would beef or lamb? Duck meat is red because of its high levels of oxygen-rich myoglobin, but it is still a bird. The recommended cooking temperature for duck is 165 degrees Fahrenheit. I've heard that ducks are farmed on a much smaller scale than chickens or turkeys, so they're much less likely to have foodborne pathogens like Salmonella or E. coli. Well, that may all be true, but they're still a bird. Birds are poultry. The recommended food safety temperature for poultry is 165 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, well, thanks for the advice. I appreciate it, but I'm still going to cook my duck breast to 140 degrees because that's how I like my duck breasts. Cool, bro. You do you. I'll do me. I'm just trying to help you stay safe. Waited a long time for this. Not only did it take the time to make it. Oh, nice. Listen, I was a little worried the skin might be rubbery. I was actually thinking of searing it. But yeah, not only did it take the time to make it, but I had to order this duck. It's hard to find. And I've just been planning this for a while. Oh man, that's crazy. It looks like corned beef almost. I've got a few things I want to make before I can make my duck pastrami sandwiches. I'm going to start by making some rye bread. I'm going to start with 2 cups of all-purpose flour and 1 cup of dark rye flour. If you don't have an actual sifter, this works pretty well too. And I'm just going to mix those well so they're combined. I'm going to take about 1 1/4 cups of that flour. I'm going to add about a 1/2 tablespoon of melted butter, 1/2 tablespoon of salt, 1/2 tablespoon of caraway seeds, a couple tablespoons of molasses, got 3 tablespoons of non-fat dry milk, and a tablespoon of yeast. Now I'm going to stir that together till it's all combined. Now I'm gonna add some hot water. It's about 120 degrees, and I'm just gonna add a little at a time. I'm gonna beat this vigorously for about 3 minutes till I start to see a few air bubbles. All right, I'm getting some air bubbles. It's been about 3 minutes. A half cup at a time. Gonna add 1.5 cups more of my flour mixture. I got a very stiff dough. Feels like it wants to break my spoon. That's how stiff it is. I'm gonna take some of my flour mixture. I'm gonna turn this out onto that flour. Flour my hands up real good. I'm gonna just start kneading this till it picks up that flour on the board. Okay, once it's picked up all the flour, just gonna shape it into a smooth ball. Gonna get a clean bowl. Easy cheater way to oil up a bowl. Roll that around so it's covered in oil on all sides. Cover that up with a towel. Set that aside. I'm gonna whip up a real quick egg wash. Got about a tablespoon of water in my bowl. And now I got an egg wash. All right, I think that's about double in size, so I'm just gonna punch it down, turn it out onto my board. Gonna give it a couple of quick kneads. Now I'm just gonna form it into a nice little ball. I'm gonna stick it onto a greased pan, and I'm gonna brush my egg wash onto it. Cover that back up with a towel and let it go for 45 minutes or so till it's double. I also wanna make some quick pickled red onions. Gonna take a tablespoon of sugar, gonna take a tablespoon of sea salt, gonna add a cup of water, and I'm gonna add a cup of white vinegar. If you wanna mix it up and use a different vinegar, you do you, that'll be fine. I'm just gonna go put this on the stove until the salt and sugar dissolve. Totally optional, but I'm gonna throw a couple of black peppercorns into there. Can't really hurt it, can it? And now I'm gonna add my slightly cooled brine to the pickles. Fill it up to the top. Easy as that. Into the refrigerator for at least an hour. Longer the better. Well, my bread looks to be about double in size, so I'm gonna make a few slices to relieve the surface tension. Gonna brush it again with my egg wash, and I'm gonna put it in a preheated 375 degree oven for about 25 minutes. When you render duck fat, you get duck skin cracklings. I think that's gonna go pretty good either with the sandwich or maybe even on it. So I'm just gonna reheat these, crisp them up again because they've been in the refrigerator. I did sear a couple of these off right after smoking. I let them rest so that they didn't keep cooking when I seared them. It just rendered the fat. But this, I'm convinced, is gonna be better. Letting it rest for overnight, wrapped in plastic, the smoke's gonna penetrate the meat. I'm gonna let these sit out for about 30 minutes. They won't warm up that much, but it'll help take the chill off. They'll raise a few degrees, and then we'll sear them off. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of duck fat and take some of this back out because I don't think I need all that. Skin side down. Pan's pretty hot, going at like a medium. Cooked all the way through. Want to warm it up a little. Mostly want to render that fat layer. So duck breasts aren't flat. We want to make sure to get that edge too because we don't want it to be rubbery. So I just like to stick it up on the edge of the pan. Start to cook that edge a little bit. So that's had a little bit of time. Flip it up on the other side. Start warming that up, rendering that off a little bit. So that's had a little bit of time. I'm going to just warm up the meat side. Just give that a minute or two. And after another minute or so, go back to the fat side. Turn this down a little. Let that render down a little more. Crisp up that skin a little more. Well, it's time to get into this now. Let's get a look. Oh yeah. It's got some juices coming out there. Oh yeah, see that? That's juicy. Oh man, it's gonna be delicious. That searing it off really renders the fat nicely. And that letting it sit not only lets the smoke penetrate, but I think it kind of intensifies the brine flavor. Definitely has more of the pastrami, not just the coating, but the brine flavor. I felt like the one I had right after smoking didn't have as much of that. So I think letting it sit and re-searing it after, pretty key. Really lets all those flavors come together. I gotta make a sandwich. I'm gonna toast up my bread for my sandwiches. You know what's better than butter? Duck fat. You know I rendered some of that skin down. Put a little duck fat on this. Oh my goodness. It's more buttery than butter. So soft. Oh my goodness. All right, toast that up. Time to build these sandwiches. Starting with some good quality brown mustard. I really like these ones with the whole seeds. I'm going down with a little bit of these cracklings on the bottom. Don't mind if I do. Definitely got to go more than one layer. Is 2 layers enough? I don't know, I'm kind of thinking I should go the whole 3 layers, huh? You know, still only used still got that much left out of those 2 breasts, so, and I've been munching on it, snacking, because I just can't help myself. A little bit of sauerkraut, fermented kind, not the vinegar kind. I mean, if all you got is the vinegar kind, use that, it'll still be good. But if you can get the fermented one, it's so much better. Or, right time of year, just make your own, not that hard. Pickled red onion, oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Triple decker with the meat, huh?
Yep. 3 layers of meat, layer of cracklings. Cheers.
Cheers. Reminds me a lot of a beef pastrami. The texture, totally different. And it's not nearly as rich, not as heavy.
Yeah, I feel like it's rich without being heavy.
Right.
To me, it sounds like a richness, and it definitely has that corn, like the corned beef part of it. Yeah, the whole pastrami. It tastes like pastrami. It's just the texture is a little lighter.
Yeah. I'm going back in.
I feel like it'd still be a really good sandwich with 2 layers of pastrami.
I think without the pickled onion might be a little too much, but that pickled onion really brightens it up. And also the rye. I guess that's probably why they do that, the Reubens. But the rye flavor and the pickled onion really brighten it up.
Yeah, it's got that crispy pop too. I'm not really catching the cracklings in the sandwich.
I agree. I think that the sauerkraut probably loosened them up a little bit, but having them on the side.
No, I put them underneath the pastrami, so it would be like, put them as layer 1 to keep them away from all the wet parts. But I think they're better on the side.
They are. Yeah.
They're kind of lost in the sandwich.
Really, the cracklings have all the duck flavor. The meat is really just like pastrami.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, I never really thought of the rye being such an element like that.
Well, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're still watching this video at this point, you should probably subscribe. You'll probably like some of my other content. Put some love into your food. Peace.